We don't want to order food. There is a menu here from Eleine if you want to order food.
I
Come over and let me know.
I ate, unfortunately. So today's the day. Finally built my Raging Bolt deck and we're gonna test it out for the tournament. I've been building this for well over a month now, mainly because I've been waiting for cards in the mail, and a lot of local shops here didn't have the cards I need because it's super popular. So now's the time to get rolling. I did a little bit of deck testing yesterday. I played against myself using my Gengar EX deck, which I almost won with the Gengar EX deck, just kind of funny, but I think I like it. I've ran it through it once and we'll just kind of go blind and see how I play against other matchups. I'm expecting more Raging Bolts because people next to me and all around the shop are talking about their Raging Bolt deck. Let's get started. Round one, I almost won. This is against Regidrago, which I had a deck advantage against. However, he pulled some late move shenanigans where I really couldn't recover. So throughout the entire game, I pretty much had the upper hand. I was knocking him out. Raging Bolt was cooking. Ogre Pond was hitting all the, pulls after using his ability. But his Regidrago, late game, he used Noivern's move because Regidrago can pull from the discard pile to use his moves. And Noivern's move is, once it's used, you can't hit him back with a basic Pokemon. Raging Bull is only basic Pokemon in the deck. So it was a long pass attack situation where I pass and he attacks. And it wasn't until he counter-captured my Ogre Pond up, put Hawlucha down, did some spread damage, and then went with his main attack for the knockout. It was a really good match, and he mentioned if I would have Pokemon captured my second turn, I probably could have won because I went for his Ogre Pond instead of his his Regidrago. It was pretty fun though. That deck hit hard, it was consistent, and the match was over in almost 15 minutes. That's pretty quick. On to the next one. Round two, I got a win. It was against Dragapult EX. My opponent put up a good fight. Unfortunately, he mulliganed twice in the beginning, and then he had a slower hand, so he couldn't really rally from that, but it was pretty good. Late game, he did pretty much 2 comebacks, because he had 2 rare candies, and then Dragapults, and then he put some damage on Raging Bolts, but the Ogre Pond engines, I had 3 of them on the bench, and I had energy retrievals for days, so I was, knocking 340 plus consistently. But yeah, on to the next one. I don't remember where I last left off. Each match has been pretty down to the wire or like past time, so I couldn't update in between. So I'm gonna go all at once. Round 3 it was against Charizard, against my boy Van. We played pretty close until I didn't realize Raging Bolt's move where he discards 6 cards. I thought that did like 70 damage, and I thought I knocked out his Manaphy. So I took a prize card, and then midway through the match, he was like, how'd you have 2 prize cards missing? And I thought it had a move, so I knew that was like not a good thing to do. So that's like, I feel like each tournament I've been to, or at least recording, I'm doing at least 1 mistake in my matches. So I'm learning how to play the deck, but it's very costly doing those mistakes. So I just said, you know what, Scoop, you win the match. It's not fair because I did that play, and probably it's a 2 prize or more penalty if I were to go to the judge. And then round 4, it was against Gardevoir, and I believe that matchup against Raging Bolt isn't that good. And my opponent had a slow start, he mulliganed, and it wasn't until mid-game he really came back, and he had me on the ropes. We had each other on the ropes, and then we went into overtime, and then by turn 3, he almost knocked me out, and the judge was watching us, and he targeted my Ogre Pond on the bench, but the judge said he couldn't do it, and I said, you know what? He said it's my call if you want to continue or stop. And I said, let's stop and we'll take a tie because he could have knocked out my Pheasantipede EX. And then round 4, That was, or round 5, sorry. That was against Charizard and Dragapult. Wombo combo, and that was honestly pretty scary. My opponent, each time I knocked out his Charmander, he just brought it back another Charizard. It was a good match. I had 3 Ogre Pawns ready to go. Raging Bolt was cooked pretty simple. Once Raging Bolt A was knocked out, Raging Bolt B came in and then just did a whole team sweep of the Charizard and Dragapults. So yeah, 2, 3, and 1 to end. 2, 3, and 1. That's not that bad. Raging Bolt, we'll see you next time. All right, week 2 of Raging Bolt deck test. We're going in. I learned a lot through week 1. I have to know that Raging Bolt's first attack doesn't do any damage. I have to discard my hand, so whoops. Play a little slower, watch the bench, just take my time, which I feel like I've been doing pretty well. It's just my opponent's just been really stacking up with those lucky pulls, so I just gotta get better. Oh, I did bring my coins or my damage counters this time, so I won't be without them. I think that was the missing link on why I didn't get as much wins as last week. So we'll see. Playing on Friday tournament, I expect it to be a whole lot busier. I already see some faces from last time, so let's get some revenge matches going and we'll see how Raging Bolt does on week 2. First match of the night, there's 41 people here, 6 rounds. It's gonna be a long night. Also considering the fact that I started off 0-1. It's against Cloth, quite possibly the worst matchup against Raging Bolt. Let's see. So by the time I was ready to like attack and hit, which was like I think 2 turns in, because I went second but I couldn't set up fast enough. He already took out like 2 of my Pokemon, and I misplayed because I thought I had enough energy to attack, and we followed through, but I said, oh no, I didn't have enough energy. And I was just gonna call a game there, but he said, it's okay. I'm about to win anyways, and then he took my final 2 prize cards. And not to mention, he just got off fresh top 8 placing in the most recent regionals. So congrats to James on that, and bummer for me. But you know, night just started. We'll see how long we'll see how far we get here. Let's get going. One and 1. It was a good win, a solid win, a hard-fought win. It was pretty close. My opponent almost had me there. It was against Palkia V, and I heard the matchup isn't great for Palkia, and it's somewhat good for Raging Bolt. So he started good, but mid-game his pulls weren't that great, or actually both of our beginning hands weren't that great. I had a Squawkabilly, and I had like 2 Earthen Vessels and 2 Energy Retrievals, and I could not get rid of those. I kept them, and they ended up helping me later, but he Ionoed them back into my deck. It was just a whole back and forth. I think he pulled like 2 Ionos on me at one point. He knocked out my Greninja with a Dusknoir. That threw off my prize mapping, but then I Pokemon captured up his Mew, and I was able to get that out. And at one point I had 3 Teal Mask Ogre Pawns up, and I was just all ready to go to take out his Palkia, his Mew, and another Palkia. Festivity came in clutch. But yeah, it was a pretty good match overall. 1 and 2. So we had a slow start, specifically me. I couldn't build anything up until like 4 turns in. So yeah, I mean, it was against Palkia V, which you think I would, you know, be good against because I have some experience against it, right? No, my opponent, he had a pretty good setup from the get-go, and he went first and built up his bench really quickly. He had like Lumineon, his Lumineon hit early, his abilities hit early, his pulls hit early, his Pokestop ate really good. My Pokestops are like 50% success rate. It's just overall not a good pull match for me. I got 1 good attack in, but that wasn't until he already took 4 prize cards, so it wasn't really worth it to attack. But yeah, 1 and 2, not a bad start. And we got, what's that, 3 matches, 3 more to go. I've been playing till time and haven't had time to check in, so let me see what the score is from when I last left off. Let's see, I did 2 Palkias. I think I was 1 in 3 last time I left off. So 1 in... Was I? Hold on. Cloth I lost, Palkia I won, Palkia I lost. I can't remember my record. It's been so long. So I remember updating you guys about my Palkia loss. So then my next match was Lost Box. That was a loss. And that wasn't the greatest matchup because Raging Bolt doesn't really go for single prize Pokemon. So I had to take like 6 turns or like do 6 attacks, but I could only do 5. And then my opponent double dunked me. He hit Ampy very much once, and then he Sableyed my Raging Bolt, and then brought him up with Prime Catcher, and then amped me very much twice. So yeah, it's been a while since I played Lost Box, so it's kind of nice to see back in rotation. And Diego, if you're watching this is all your fault. Lost Box is all your fault. Next match with my boy AJ, who's playing Miraidon. One of my first decks, one of my favorite decks out there. He had me on the ropes, not gonna lie. Late game, Sada and Teal Mask really saved my bacon there. I know how Miraidon plays. Electric Generators hit for him, but Teal Mask hit harder.
Actually, wait, missing the section. I was like, wait, that doesn't add up at all.
So this is all coming from my trade binder. My Zacian, Lucarios, this Lucario, 2 judges, Professor's Research, and Palkia.
Yeah, for Chevalier GX, Music EX, Promo Greninja, Giovanni's Exile,
Yep.
and Lysander Prism.
Good work, man.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
And then final match of the day, probably my best match. We saved the best for last. It's Palkia. Another Palkia. There's a lot of Palkias today. I faced 3 of them. And it was a back and forth. He almost won. If I didn't take out his Greninja mid-match, he would have double dunked me with his Dusknoir, because he had 2 Dusknoirs. But I had 3 Teal Masks on the bench. That again saved me because he Iona'd me twice. And then my Teal Mask kind of saved me with the ability. I was able to draw and then draw into another card. So for the final play of the game, he Iona'd me. I had 1 card. I used Teal Mask, and then I was able to get, whatchamacallit, the energy retrieval. And then I was also able to use Pokestop, and then use 3 energy total on my Teal Mask. And then loaded it up, and then I was able to use Sada's Vitality as one of the pulls, and then loaded up my Raging Bolt, and then attach return, and go for the win. So it's a lot of brain thinking. I haven't ate. I made a mistake and I skipped on dinner, so I'm gonna go home, gonna see Coral, lament about my day, and we'll see you guys in the recap. The recap of the recap. Okay, so here is the map layout, or I guess my deck layout. These are the counters we're running today. We have Suicune, Raikou, and my championship counters I got from LA. So we have 4 Raging Bolts. 2 of them are the promos found in this video right here. 4 Ogerpon Teal Mask versions. 4 Professor Sada's Vitality to draw into Raging Bolt. Get those energies from the discard onto Raging Bolt or my Sandy Shocks. Boss's Orders, Iono, and then Sandy Shocks for those 1 prize Pokemon, or if I don't have anyone on my bench. I was told that Slitherwing might be a good alternate to Sandy Shocks because Slitherwing hits higher, or hits harder, so it can one-shot, I believe, Dusknoir. Radiant Greninja, backup support for draw. Squawkabilly EX, Essential Turn 2, depending on your hand. Let's be realistic here. Fizzindipity EX, a good staple for most decks. 3 energy retrievals, 3 Pokegears, 2 Pokemon catchers, and 1 1 counter catcher. Some people run 3 Pokemon catchers. I ran 1 counter catcher. I don't know. Just because instead of leaving it up to fate, I can at least leave it up to chance when I'm behind, if that makes sense. 2 switch carts, 2 Pokestops, 4 trekking shoes. I don't know why that was up like that. We got Bravery Charm, Ancient Booster Energy Capsule, Pal Pad, Super Rod, and Awakening Drum. I don't have Prime Catcher. It's in my personal collection. I'm gonna use Awakening Drum. It's either that or Grand Tree, but can't really evolve any of these guys. Am I out of frame? Yeah, it's just good enough. I'm running 1 Bravery Charm and 1 Ancient Booster. Bravery Charm can be for Ogerpon if I ever need to attack with Ogerpon, or anyone else who is an Ancient Pokemon, and then of course the Ancient Booster for Raging Bolt. Bump it up to 300 HP. Or 290, right? No, 300, because this is plus 60. 4 Earthen Vessels, and 4 Nest Balls. I thought about adding like 1 Ultra Ball, so if I need to put energy in my discard, I can, but this is already pretty good enough with Trekking Shoes and Raging Bolt's attack that I don't really need to have another card to put energies or other cards into discard, especially with Pokestop too. I got 3 Fighting Energies, 3 Electric, and I believe 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Grass Energy. 5, 3, and 1. That's not that bad, to be honest. So the good, the bad, and the ugly about the Raging Bolt deck. Well, I'd say there is no ugly, there's just bad luck. The good thing is it's super consistent. I found my way out of quite a bit of pickles before, but again, it's the Pokemon card game. You are gonna run into some bad luck here and there. Like for example, I'm just not pulling any items, or I'm not getting any supporter cards like Sada. I've just been whiffing on those, or Pokestop has been tossing them away. That or Pokestop is just not hitting, and it's just not giving me any items in general and putting the crucial Pokemon in my discard pile. I've learned quite a bit from playing, 2 tournaments, and that's in over 10 matches. I've learned how to really, I'd say, comfortably pilot Raging Bolt. Some things I need to work on is obviously knowing what attacks hit, and like stupid plays. I gotta reduce my stupid plays. When I was playing against my buddy Van, I just misplayed. I did an attack and I thought it did damage for knockout. It didn't. That stuff is costly for like League Cups, regionals, or just any official tournament. Thankfully this is local, so it's a lot more chiller atmosphere, but even then, once you raise your hand and call the judge, they'll still penalize you no matter what. So you live and you learn. I would like to explore other cards that you could put into the deck. I know some people put Briar in there. I'm not quite sure who to swap in or out. I don't think I have anyone from Stellar Crown in the Raging Bolt deck. I know Surging Sparks is coming out very soon, so maybe I'll integrate something from there. Of course, there's the use of ace specs. I currently have the Ancient Drum? Now, people obviously say, Prime Catcher, that's the best ace spec. Prime Catcher this, Prime Catcher that. At least use Secret Box. Look, I have those cards. I have Prime Catcher, I have Secret Box in my personal collection. I won't be using them yet. I, like many others, are waiting for this Charizard battle deck to drop because it includes Prime Catcher. And I could build myself like a easy peasy Charizard deck on the side if I'm trying to get some more friends into the TCG. I did get quite a bit of exposure to some control decks. Pidgeot's making its way back, so I'm gonna have to learn how to play against those. Someone asked the question, how do you play against Cornerstone Ogerpon? And you simply don't. Since we're seeing a little bit more control decks, I've seen, not opponents I face, but other people in the shop, they've been playing or have been talking about Iron Thorns. And oh boy, I looked up that deck. There's only 4 Iron Thorn EX cards, in the deck, so the amount of times you can possibly mulligan is kind of crazy. I do have a couple Iron Thorns in my deck. I do have a couple of Iron Thorns in my binder. I don't know if I'll pull those out. That's actually, I wonder if I have any in my trade binder. Here's my bulk. I guess I don't have a whole lot of Iron Thorns in here. I think Coral has some. She doesn't like the regular EX cards, so maybe I'll steal some. But yeah, Iron Thorn EX, I think I might build that just for fun. I won't use it as like one of my main competitors, but I'll definitely drive it here and there, kind of like my Gengar EX deck. Plus it's easy. It's easy to build. I have most of the cards, if not all of them at this point. Are you guys a Raging Bolt player? Anyone Raging Bolt? Leave a comment down below. Let me know what type of decks you want me to build in the future. I might consider it, might give it a shot, who knows. If you've enjoyed this content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more videos in the future. With that being said, my name is KevinTCG, and I'll see you guys next time.